We've got great news here at Atlantico Videogame Summit. Here is someone that can help us to speak about the importance of having the best foundation for your project. How do you feel, Justin?
I feel great. I love it down here. Always have. The best foundation for your project is always build a business first. That was the pleasure of the talk I just gave, was talked about building a business and building a strategy before you build your game. And then when you do build your game, there's a couple things you absolutely must have if you want to pitch your game and get funding. You need to have a deck that covers who, what, where, when, why.
Like a journalist deck?
Yes, exactly. The same
Respond
questions.
those 5 W's, please.
Yep, exactly. And then, I learned it when I actually took some journalism classes in college.
Oh.
And so it still applies. So I still use my college degree. So you have to have a deck that answers those. Mm-hmm. Then you need to have a short video of your gameplay. It can be short, 30 seconds to 1 minute is plenty. But you need to make it good. And the best thing to do is show pieces of the game that I might not get to play when I am playing the demo of your game. Then the last thing you need, and this is super important, is you need a build of the game, of gameplay that I can play. It doesn't need to be long, but it needs to be really good, really solid, and show me what I'm going to be doing mostly in the game. So if I'm going to be fighting mostly in the game, it needs to show me that. If I'm going to be doing a real-time strategy, I'm going to be building bases, it needs to show me. So whatever the core mechanics are your game, that's what the build needs to show me, and it needs to show me what makes my game different. Why is somebody going to spend time playing my game versus somebody else's game? Because ultimately you're not competing for money, you're competing for time. Because if you don't get their time, you will never get their money.
I would like to ask him about the industry in our country, how Sola is seeing all the business here. How do you feel it? How do you think it's going to grow?
I think it's going to grow. I think the talent's gotten bigger. I think you've seen more companies coming down here and hiring companies. Obviously, you have companies that have success, TerraVision, some other ones like Brains who got purchased. So I think people are starting to pay attention to Colombia now. It's always hard to have that first person, we have an expression, first one to jump in the pool, because nobody knows what the water's like, so everybody's afraid. But once you get that first 1 or 2 in the pool, swimming, going, it's okay down here, they actually can do work, they can do good video games, then I think you have more people interested. I think this summit is an example. You have, 15 or 20 people, mostly from North America, who flew down here, to offer insights and advice, but we wouldn't be coming here if we didn't think there was a growing industry that eventually would reap a lot of rewards for both in terms of success and revenue long term. So I think it's growing. I think, as much as the government can help that, it would be awesome. I think that networking, making sure that people realize they need to look outside of just Colombia as they're building their games so they can better understand what the global market is looking for. The more they can do that, the more success they'll probably have.
In your point of view, which are the Colombian problems for the developers?
One of the biggest problems, I think, is probably financing, but that's a problem everywhere. There's always more people trying to make games than there are money. I think the other problem is probably the senior level experience, somebody who's done and shipped tons of games. They can come in and look at a game and make some tweaks and fix it really quickly. That's not something you kind of learn by chance.
Just by experience.
It's by experience, and every once in a while you can get lucky, but get lucky is not a business model that's sustainable. So trying to grow that experience on what it is to finish a game. So starting a game's easy. I mean, I'm not a programmer. I can start a game. I will never finish it. Most games get 80% of the way done and then struggle the last 20%. So understanding how to finish, what to focus on, what not to focus on is where the real art comes in. Games are art, they're science, they're programming, they're math, they're all these things, but they're really hard because all those things have to work together, and if they don't, then the game doesn't do well.
Yeah.
So I think somebody who kind of understands all that is one of the things that's missing. For example, Canada had a big advantage. You had companies like EA and Ubisoft and Activision all had huge studios there. And as the senior people of those studios decided I want to make my own game, they left, but they had 10, 15, 20 years of experience building games and knowing what works. And so they were able to then take other people from other studios that have had some success. So I think that's the only difficulty here. So I think it's really important the community here spend a lot of time sharing.
Yeah.
You've got some companies that have been successful that are usually pretty generous for their time, and talk to them. You've got some that have done really well. I mean, you got a company that got purchased not too long ago by Jam City. Talk to them, figure out what they did, how they got purchased. Understanding, what they did to be successful doesn't guarantee you're going to be successful, but it gives you a path And that's important because
That's
otherwise
important.
you're kind of looking in the dark.
That's an interesting call for all of our users here. We need to connect with our community. We need to know what's happening in our country. And of course, we need to be in touch with Grande y Jugando and the big job that is doing now with the Bogota Post. Goodbye.
You